Hi, everybody, and welcome back to class. It's Mark, and today is June 27th. I'm recording this a little later than I typically do, but I had a busy weekend. You probably did as well because it's summer and things like this happen. In this session, by the way, we are halfway through the class. Can you believe it? I didn't mean to click on discussions there. Let's go class sessions instead. Halfway through the course, and we are going to wrap up writing project number 2 and begin writing project number 3. But as you'll see, we're not going to turn in a draft of writing project 3 just yet. Instead, we're going to work on an annotated bibliography. And there's also a lot of reading in this one. Sorry about that, but there is. But first, let's go into session 7, analysis, final draft. And in session 6, you turned in a draft of writing project 2 to me, and I will read all of those as I did with writing project 1 and give you feedback, and you're also getting feedback from your peers in the course. So hopefully when you turn it in, it's as solid as it can be. Here's the list of learning activities, which I'm going to bypass right now, and I'm going to go into the learning activities folder. Writing project 2, analysis. You've already seen this once, but we'll open up it again and look at the last couple of steps that are listed on the instructions. So when you turned in your first draft, you were following steps 1 through 6. And now we're on steps 7 through 8. Of course, we did peer response in class session 6, and you will also get peer response from me. And the idea is to take all of that feedback and make the final version as good as possible. As I've mentioned in the past, it says here, along with the final draft, submit a cover letter. You don't have to do that. I'm not going to ask you for a cover letter. I may never ask you for a cover letter in this class at all. It is possible at the end I will. But I don't think this is a necessary step. And because we have a compressed schedule, I'm trying to make it as easy on you as possible by removing things when I can. So there is a little bit less work. Remember, when you turn it in, you're going to turn it in 2 places. Only the final draft, not the cover letter. And I think we can close this out now and get back into the course. And your final draft will be due on Sunday, July 3rd, just before the holiday. Let's open up the peer response feedback. And there's quite a bit there. If you haven't done a peer review yet, looks like there's a couple that still need some responses. Alexis must have really touched a nerve because she got a lot of responses. So if you still need to finish that off, pick one that doesn't have a great deal of feedback just yet. As I mentioned, there are supplemental resources on the library tutorial on selecting a topic and finding images for the discussion board. These are optional. You don't have to do them. It's there if you need it. Let's get into the assignments and the assessments. This is usually the most important part. We have a new discussion board that we will finish off by July 3rd on Every Picture Tells a Story, and this is a brainstorming activity, as it states, to help you think about different aspects of a problem or issue. And this is designed to get you thinking about writing project number 3. Whatever your topic may be, just briefly describe what your problem or topic will be, and then find 3 images that represent not just one side, but maybe both sides of the issue. Can you use more than 3? Of course. If you find 4 that are really good and you don't want to delete one of them, go ahead and show 4. You're going to copy and paste these into the discussion board, and JPEG documents work best. If you know how to convert those, if you find something else, good. Your original post should be 200 words, and in session 8, we'll be doing responses to that. Here is where you turn in the final draft of writing project number 2 for grading, and this is the originality checker. Make sure you turn it in both places. And that should be it for for session 7. Now let's get directly into session 8. And this writing project number 3, is going to be a little different. This is an informative essay, and I'll say this now and probably repeat it. The purpose of the informative essay is to simply outline the problem and the two sides of the issue, and you don't want to put any personal opinion in it. Consider yourself a journalist and you're simply reporting a story. The words I think, I believe, etc. should never be in this essay, because when you're writing an informative essay, your own personal opinions, which side you may favor, is not important. You want to present this in a very balanced fashion. No opinion allowed. All right, for session 8, we have 3 chapters to get through. Finding source material, evaluating sources, which is very important because not all sources are equal, and then a chapter on problems in style. And this is important because there is a short quiz contained within this week about common problems in style. I also recommend, even though this is listed here with the supplemental resources, do take a hard look, print it off if you'd like, about the sample annotated bibliography. It's a great model to follow, and if you do follow this model, you're going to do great on this. We're going to finish off the discussion board on Every Picture Tells a Story. So in session 7, you are writing your original post. In session 8, even though you're doing them within the same week, you're going to write 2 replies to 2 other students. Here's the grammar exercise. I recommend read this chapter first and then jump directly into the grammar exercise. You'll do great. And notice you're going to be turning in your annotated bibliography, so you're working on the bibliography for writing project 3, but not turning in a draft. The bibliography comes first, and it's worth 40 points, so we need to get this right. Let's go into the learning activities. This should be short because I want to spend more time on the assignments and the assessments. Of course, there is your textbook. Here's the sample annotated bibliography. We do want to open this, and before I do, here's a supplemental resource, a second supplemental resource, and then the grammar activity. I'm not going to open this, but make sure, read the text first, then jump directly into this. If you're not familiar with annotated bibliographies, this is a great model to follow. And notice that the first thing that this student has done is to set up the issue. What's the question that they're going to research? What is the issue, and what are the 2 sides? This is well done. And your annotated bibliography should include this first and foremost. Tell me what the question or the problem or the issue is. And then tell me what your research questions are going to be. In other words, how are these questions going to explore this issue? What are you trying to find out? And then you get to the annotations. And remember, we're only doing these in MLA. And I've noticed in some of the assignments that a few folks have turned in, their citations are still a little bit off. You never indent the first line, you indent the second. And the authors are always listed alphabetically by last name. Last name first, then first name, and you alphabetize by last name. So tell me what you're going to use. There's the citation. And then tell me what you know using these details. Who is it? Where do they write if they're a regular journalist, whether it be for a news organization, an online periodical, whatever it may be. Tell me a little bit about the publication in just a sentence or 2. Give me a brief summary of what they're saying so I know what the article will be. Tell me what their stance is, if they are completely neutral, which is rare. Tell me that. And if they take a bent in one direction for or against your issue, tell me that as well. And then, most importantly, tell me how you're going to use it. So after each citation, you should answer these questions. So again, Tell me what the issue is. Tell me the questions you are going to use to research it. Give a citation. And then tell me these details about your writer. How many citations do you need? Well, 7's a pretty good number, and we'll look at that here in just a moment. It's in the instructions. I'm going to get out of the get into the assignments and assessments, and we'll see more there. And look, there's tutor.com. If anyone's used tutor.com so far in this class, drop me a note. I'd like to hear about your experience. Here is the discussion board on Every Picture Tells a Story. We've already talked about that, and you're going to finish it off in this session. There's the grammar exercise and the annotated bibliography instructions, not the sample. Sorry, my voice is a little rough today. I was coaching at a youth baseball tournament over the weekend. I'm sorry if I wasn't available as regularly as I am most of the time, and I spent a lot of time yelling, and now I'm paying for it. Here are the instructions for the annotated bibliography. You're going to build upon one of the core readings that you have used previously. You could select a new one. If you're going to do that, tell me about it in advance. And develop based upon your subject, your research questions, including what is your rationale, what is it you are trying to discover about this problem or issue. And that is also what goes into the annotated bibliography and the essay itself. At least one of your sources must be from the core readings, of course, and then you can find additional sources from the Ivy Tech library. And that is why we had you doing the Ivy Tilt tutorials in previous sessions. And notice it says do not use print books or magazines for this project. We want you to use electronic sources. If you do find you're having trouble finding sources within the library database, go ahead and send me a text. I can help you out on that one. And based on the Ivy Tilt exercises, of course, you want to evaluate your sources. Are they relevant? Relevant meaning if you're researching something that is a current issue or topic, you may find a source that speaks to this that's 25 years old. That may make it less relevant than something that is 2 years old. As we pointed out, almost every article has some form of bias in it. That's understood. Make sure that you're aware of it and that you don't take it in totality as completely unbiased when it is not. It's okay that bias is there, just know to recognize it. As I just mentioned, the sources you should use should be up to date and should be credible. Of course, you could cite an online blog that you find somewhere, but make sure that the facts and the conclusions that it comes to are well reasoned and well grounded, and it isn't the inane ramblings of someone who's like a nutcase. We see that all the time in blogs. And as it mentions, you want at least 7 citations in MLA style. Refer back to the annotated bibliography sample paper that is there. It'll give you a great roadmap of how to get this done. Can you do more than 7? Of course. Don't go to 20. But if you find yourself writing 8, well, that's okay. 9, sure. Just don't get carried away. You don't have a lot of time, and it's not necessary for a paper of this size to have an unlimited number of sources. 7's a good number. And this also covers, as I talked about in the sample paper, what you should write. Of course, you want the citation and then answer the following questions about that particular article, that particular author. And then you're going to turn it in. Let's close that out. I went through that kind of quickly. Make sure you print it. Let's go back into the class session and see what else remains. your first draft is going to be due next week, the week of 4th of July. So just for this week, stick to the annotated bibliography. There's the discussion, the instructions. I think we covered that all. It's never been my intent in recording these videos to make them comprehensive and discuss every last detail, because I try to keep them brief and to the point. But I'm certain the questions will remain. So if you have a question, you know the drill. Text me anytime at 812-498-4200. I'll answer your question as best I can. All of your assignments for Session 7 and Session 8 will be due on Sunday, July the 3rd, at the beginning of the holiday weekend. So try and work ahead if you can. Remember, everyone will get a review of your Writing Project 2 final submission. I'll get those grades posted as quickly as I can. If you have Blackboard issues or anything related to technology, give me a heads up. That's always appreciated. That's all I have for this week. Text me if you need to, everyone. You can also send me an email at mstenger and the number 1 at ivytech.edu. Have a great week.